coming from it. They make us learn Swedish.
Hi, and welcome to Swartz Talking Sports. I'm your host, Les Swartz. Unfortunately, not in the studio tonight, down with the flu, but the show must go on. We've got a very special guest for you tonight. Yes, we do. Live from Cabo, we've got former NFL great Super Bowl champ from the Chicago Bears, Jim McMahon. We got Jim from Cabo, so let's bring him in and say hi, Jim. What's going on, buddy?
How you doing, Les? Good to see you, my man.
So how are things in Cabo right now?
Cabo's great, kid. We just got off a $2 million yacht. Had a great 4-hour cruise. Saw a bunch of whales. Had a great time, and it's always been a good time coming down here. I've been coming down for the last 25 years, and we're sitting at my good friend Tomas's bar, Usual Suspects. So if you guys are in Cabo at the marina, come see my boy.
Absolutely. Can't wait to do that someday. And we got Benny the Book with us today, too, who also wants to say hi. He's going to be chatting a little bit with you. So let's jump into it right away, Jim. So what we do normally is you growing up. I know you grew up in San Diego. I mean, actually in Northern California, then moved to Utah. But did you play football? Was that your sport? Did you play all kinds of sports growing up? What was the best sport that you liked to play growing up?
No, baseball was my sport.
Okay.
That's all I ever wanted to do was be a baseball player. When I went to college, I chose a college that would let me play both sports. All the schools I went to back in the day said I couldn't play both sports. The only two that said I could was BYU or Nevada, Las Vegas. And being me, I wanted to go to Vegas. But Vegas was my last recruiting trip when I did all those trips back in high school. And I had an awesome time. And I came home and I said, Pops, I'm going to Vegas. And he said, no, you're not, son. He said, it's not a big enough school. I said, Pops, listen to me. I was very confident in my abilities. I knew I can go on to the next level. I didn't care how big the school was. But I said, I want to have a good time in college, like most people do. And Vegas is the place for me. Plus, they offered me a house, a car, money, and easy job at a casino. Hell, nice. I could have been Steve Wynn.
Nice.
No, he said no. I think he thought about it. I'd be dead from strippers in 2 months. But so he said no. So that's how I ended up at BYU.
I was going to say, I was going to say, what's a good Catholic boy going to Mormon school? Was it, I mean, what were the constraints going to BYU from not a football standpoint? Because I know you played for LaVell Edwards, really, a great lineage of quarterbacks from Gifford Nielsen all the way up. I mean, was there any partying going on at BYU? What did you guys do?
Well, there was parties, but you had to be very discreet about it.
Okay.
It was not a typical college experience. Let me just put it that way. Okay, you're 18 years old. You're away from home. You want to have a good time, and basically, the only good times I had was on Friday nights or Saturday, whenever we played.
Nice.
The rest of the time was tough. I mean, it was just I grew up in Northern California. I grew up with the brothers and the Mexicans. I never even heard the word Mormon before I moved to Utah, and so it was a strange experience, but a good one. I learned a lot about football. I learned a really lot about football and a lot about life as well, because I saw a lot of strange things going on, and it was just not a regular college experience as most people have.
Now, you had a massive junior year at BYU. I know that you kind of split reps with Mark Wilson. He got hurt, I think, your sophomore year, but you take over the reins junior year and set all kinds of records. 4,571 yard passing, 47 touchdowns. And to this day, Ben and I talk about it. The best bowl comeback we've ever seen in the Holiday Bowl, which we're going to dub the Jim McMahon Bowl because you did so well in that bowl game. But tell me your recollections of that game against SMU with Eric Dickerson and Craig James, the Pony Express backfield. And you guys were down by 20 with 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, that was quite a finish. I mean, I sucked in the first half. That's why we're down so much. But yeah, that was the best team that money could buy at the time, at SMU team. They were pretty loaded. But yeah, we just kept fighting, and I started doing things better in the second half. And like I said, we were down 20 points with 4 minutes to go, and we ended up winning the game. So it was an exciting finish. I give a lot of credit to my my great friend Vi Sikahima, who was a freshman on that team at the time. Just before halftime, he ran back a punt and got us within, striking distance. And I told him at that time, as we're running in the tunnel at halftime, I said, hey, glad to see you're still fighting. I'm going to keep fighting too. And that's what happened. We just kept fighting to the end, and we got a chance at the end to win it. And 3 seconds left. We're 40 yards away, and we throw a Hail Mary. And Clay Brown, my good buddy, who's actually going to be here in Cabo on Saturday. I leave here on Saturday. He's coming in half hour after I leave. He caught the ball, and it was incredible. Our kicker came in and won it with the extra point.
Now you finish up your senior year. I think you were kind of banged up a little bit. You missed a couple games your senior year.
I blew my knee out my senior year. We were playing against Colorado. I got hit and just totally blew out my knee. I missed a couple games. Steve Young came in, did a great job, and then I was able to come back and finish out the year. We ended up winning another bowl game, and then I get drafted by Chicago.
Drafted 5th overall. You go to the Bears, and Mike Ditka's the head coach. And the Bears really weren't there yet, right? I mean, I think they had a losing record.
We sucked. We sucked. When I was 82, 83, we were not good. Thank God we had a strike in 82. We only had to play 9 games. But yeah, we were not very good in those 2 years, and I was not real happy at the time. But we got a hell of a lot better. The next 5 that I was there in Chicago, we went to 3 NFC championship games and only won 1 of them, but we were damn good. We had a good 5-year run.
I was going to say, I know 84 you guys went to the NFC championship and lost to San Francisco. When did you see the team like that 85 team? Did you sense something at the beginning of the year that it was special? The defense obviously played off the charts. You were throwing bombs to Willie Gault. Walter was running the football. Was there anything special that in preseason that you thought, I think we're going to win it all this year?
Well, I knew in 83, we finished in 83. I think we won 6 of the last 8 games to finish 8-8. We started, on the right track. And then in 84, we went to the NFC Championship game, lost to Frisco. So we knew we were going to be good in 85, and everything seemed to work out in 85. And so we ended up winning the Super Bowl that year. The next year, everybody kind of forgets, we went 14-2 the following year.
Yeah.
And, we should have won it again. We had the best record in the league for 4 straight years after 85. And we lost 3 games at home in the playoffs, and that's what killed us.
Now, I think that I'm going to check out with our producer, Tony, but I think we probably have some questions from some of our viewers. So, Tony, do we have any questions out there?
Actually, Les, we do. I'm going to read a few comments.
Okay.
And then a couple of questions. Is that okay?
Okay. Sure.
Sure.
All right. So let's see. Rob says, welcome to the show, Jim. Tech for Fun says, living the life in a yacht in Cabo makes getting sacked a little easier, doesn't it?
That's true.
And then we do have a question here from, looks like Rob again.
Okay.
Rob asks, Jim, what drove most of your anger towards Pete Rosel?
Ooh.
What drove my anger against Pete Rosel? That was the question. I didn't have anger against Pete Rosel. I was upset at the fact that they fined me for no reason. At the time, Adidas was not paying the NFL. And I was a big Adidas guy. I came out of college as wearing Adidas shoes, wristbands, headbands, whatever they had, I wore. But I didn't realize at the time they weren't paying the NFL. That's why the NFL was pissed at me, because I was wearing this stuff. And I said, that's not my fault. It's not my fault that they're not paying you guys for me wearing their stuff. And so they made a big stink about my headband. I got fined $5,000 in the one of the playoff games in 1985 for wearing it. And then I got a hold of the rule book, and I realized they had no basis to fine me. And so, we had the following week was the NFC Championship game against the Rams. and I put Rosel on my head or on my headband.
Right.
And I didn't get a fine that week. I actually got a call from the commissioner saying thank you for the free advertising.
No
And
kidding.
he said you're not going to be able to wear that Adidas headband in the Super Bowl. I'm like, and I'd already, I don't know how this happened, but a rule book ended up in my locker. And I started reading through this rule book, and I found out they had no basis to fine me the first time. And so now I was going to mess with them since they messed with me, right? So during the Super Bowl, pre-game warm-up, I've got my Adidas headband on.
March of 2020.
And the head referee is chasing me around the field saying, no, you can't wear that. You can't wear that. He said, yeah, I know. And so it gets to the pregame. It's like the national anthem. I'm standing next to Walter Page and myself, the head referee. As soon as the anthem's over, I went to put on my helmet, and the ref said, I can't let you on the game or in the game with that on. And I said, I know, but you can't do a damn thing about this. And I pulled it down around my neck. So if you look back at all those pictures, you'll see Adidas proudly displayed around my neck. And the ref just laughed. He goes, yeah, you're right. I can't do anything about that. So now I decided to wear charities. Every different series, I put a different charity on my head. And I thought, if the NFL finds me for charities, they're going to look like real assholes.
Right.
And they didn't. They couldn't. Right? So I got so much positive feedback from all the charities that I wore the headband for. And the NFL couldn't find me. I made the money that Adidas wanted to pay me. And it was great. The following year, they had a lot more different rules in the rule book, but I made my money and I made my point. I said, Pete, this has nothing to do with the game. Whatever I'm wearing on my head. You guys made a big stink about it. I've been wearing this thing for 2 or 3 years, but now we're in the playoffs and it's a big deal. So they made a big stink about it, and they look like idiots after this. It was kind of fun for me.
Yeah, that's a great question. And now I just want to touch base on the Super Bowl because I grew up in New England. I actually hung around with a lot of the guys you played against. I used to hang out with those guys in the mid-'80s. I knew they were going to get pounded. I didn't think it was going to be that bad, but you had played them earlier in the year. Actually, the second game, you beat them in Chicago 27. It wasn't a blowout per se. Did you guys think that it was going to be that epic beatdown or what? I mean, what were you expecting out of the Pats?
No, I know. We played them that second game of the year. They were a tough team. I remember, I think we took the opening kickoff and went down and scored. We had an early lead, but they were very tough at the rest of the game. But by the time we got to the Super Bowl, we really wanted to play the Dolphins.
That's what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you that question because that was the only team that beat you guys that year.
Correct.
Did you want retribution and beat them in the Super Bowl?
Well, I wanted to play the Dolphins because I didn't get to play against the Dolphins that Monday night that we lost.
Right.
I missed one day of practice that week. I missed a Wednesday practice. I practiced Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Miami. And then Mike Dickey says, you're not playing tomorrow night because you missed Wednesday's practice. So I was pissed. But then I was like, hey, I got a free night in Miami. What the hell?
Hey.
So we end up losing that game. But it wasn't like I think you guys remember earlier in that season on a Monday. It was actually a Thursday night game against the Vikings.
When you came in and lit them up in the second half.
I'd missed a couple of days of practice. I was in the hospital in traction on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We had a Thursday night game, and we fly to Minnesota on Wednesday night, and Dickey tells me Wednesday night you're not playing. I said, why am I not playing? He goes, well, you didn't practice all week. I'm like, well, our offense hasn't changed in 4 years I've been here. Why? What's the big deal? But that game wasn't going real well. The first part of the game, the first half, the Vikings were kicking our ass, and it just wasn't the same feel of a team that I'd seen the first 2 weeks. So I was in Mike's ear the whole damn night going, you better put me in. We're going to lose. We're going to lose. Like I said. And I'm convinced to this day the only reason he put me in is get me out of his ear because I was bugging the hell out of him.
Nice.
And I get in the game, and the first play was actually called the screen pass, and I called the screen pass, and I ended up throwing the ball deep to Willie Goff for a touchdown. And when I got off the field, Mike grabbed me and goes, "What damn play did you call?" And I said, "Well, I called the screen pass, Mike, but why'd you throw it to Willie?" I said, "Because he was open and we scored. Why are you pissed?" And then we get the ball right back and we score again, and then I end up throwing another touchdown. So it worked out. It worked out to be a good night.
Yeah, a great night, a great season. Now we have a couple more questions from some of the viewers. Tony, how about question number 2?
Sure. First off, Rob says, thanks for that, Jim. Great answer. And Rob also follows up with this. He wants to know, which was the toughest team your 85 Bears played that season?
Probably the Packers.
Really?
The Packers sucked at that time, but the Packers always played us tough.
Really?
We had to beat, I think we beat them 16-10 up in Green Bay that year.
Wow.
And it was late in the game that we ended up scoring to beat them. But they always played us tough, even though they really sucked. I only lost to them once in 7 years, so I know they sucked. But it took me a long time to end up going to Green Bay. I ended up in Green Bay, got another ring with them, but I didn't really want to go there because of all the bad blood I had for 7 years playing against them.
I was going to say the Bears-Packers rivalry runs deep, right?
Yeah, it was the oldest rivalry in football.
Yeah. Now, Tony, you got another one?
Yeah, I got 2 more, and then let's turn it back over to you. Okay.
Yeah.
So Groovy P63 asks, who was your best teammate ever?
Ooh.
Who was my best teammate ever?
Yeah.
Boy,
That's a toughie. That's hard.
That's a tough one because I played for 7 different teams and I had a lot of great teammates, but I've never laughed as hard as I was with Dave Archer. Dave Archer was the starting quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay.
He replaced Barkowski, and Steve Barkowski was retired. I got to play with Dave in San Diego and also in Philadelphia. And he's the funniest human being I've ever met in my life. And he still does the color for the Falcons games in Atlanta. So yeah, he was just a fun guy. Just had a great time with him.
Cool.
All right.
We got
I remember
one more
Dave
list
Archer. I
for
do
now.
remember him playing.
It's from Tech for Fun. And
Yeah, he ended up going to the CFL and having an awesome finish to his career. I mean, he probably set more CFL records than anybody.
Nice. Nice. All right, we got one more.
We got one more. Tech for Fun asks, Jim, how would you describe the Chicago fan base?
The Chicago fan base, dedicated. Chicago is a Chicago Bear fan base. I mean, I was there with Michael Jordan, through the 90s, and they won 6 championships, and everybody was happy about that. But Chicago is a Bear town, and they live and die with the Bears. And unfortunately, they've been dying quite a bit in the last 30-something years.
Yeah, no, it's been a rough road, but hopefully Justin Fields will turn that around. I mean, they've played better of late. I got a question for you, Jim. I got a question. Did you even think at least 1 second about changing the play down at the goal line and give the ball to Walter instead of Refrigerator Perry?
Yeah, I've been asking that question a lot in the last 35 years, and I tell everybody the same thing. I think we could have gave it to Walter 100 times, and he wasn't going to score. Because the focus of New England at the time was, we stop Walter Payton, we win. That was their whole focus, and they did a good job of that. Walter, I think he carried it 27 times in the game. We gave it to him down on the goal line a couple times, but their whole focus was Walter, and that's why everybody else had a pretty good day, because their focus was all about Walter Payton. I tell people all the time, watch the first play of the second half. We're backed up on our 4-yard line. We run a play action pass, and it wasn't even a good fake. And there's 6 guys chasing Walter. Willie Galt's running up the middle of the field, and I underthrew him about a yard, or else he goes 96 for a touchdown. But that's the kind of impact he had on that game. He made everybody else successful because their focus was stop Walter. We stop Walter, we win. And unfortunately, we had a lot of talent around Walter, and that's why we won.
Now, like you said, after that year, you go 14-2. The Bears were still very successful. Then you take probably one of, I would say, one of the cheapest shots. Terry Bradshaw got turned upside down by a guy named Joe Turkey Jones back in the day. Very
I remember
similarly,
that shot. Too.
that's right. And very similarly, Charles Martin did the same thing to you. And really kind of damaged your shoulder, I believe. Wasn't you a rotator cuff?
Well, actually, my shoulder was gone the first game of '86. My shoulder was dislocated in the first game against Cleveland in '86. I kept trying to play. You know, one day I can go out and practice and throw. The next day I couldn't move, and I was getting a lot of grief from some teammates that were on the defensive side of the ball. So everybody on offense knew that something was wrong, and I knew something was wrong. And I kept telling the doctor, "Hey, doc, my arm's coming out of the socket," and he says, "There's no way that could be happening." He says, "Do you know how painful that is?" I said, "Yes, it happens 100 times a day. Every time I move my arm, it pops out." And so I played 6 games in '86, won all of them. And then after the incident you're talking about, Charles Martin, when he slammed me down, we get a bye week. I go out to see Frank Jobe out in L.A., who was the L.A. Dodgers doctor, who was great with shoulders and elbows. And within 5 minutes, he told me, "Hey, your shoulder's coming out of the socket." I said, "I've been telling these guys that for 10 weeks. He goes, "You need surgery immediately." I was very surprised that I was able to come back and play after that, because I'd done so much damage to my shoulder in those 6 games. And, the rest was history. But what was crazy is the doc kept telling me there's nothing wrong with me. I mean, they'd shoot me, so I'd be numb. I had no feeling for the whole game. I couldn't throw a spiral. I mean, the press was saying, "Hey, how come you can't throw a spiral?" I said, "Well, I can't feel the ball." I said, "My whole arm is numb." I said, "I'm just happy it's getting there. I don't care if it's a spiral or not." But it was a bad experience.
How many operations did you have during your pro career?
I played 15 years, and during my career, I had at least 14 surgeries. I've had now 6. I've had 9 since. I've been dealing with a bad foot for the last 2 years. I've had 6 surgeries in 2 years. Had a simple surgery for my ankle. Got infected. My foot exploded. They were going to cut my leg off. They saved the leg, but my foot still doesn't work. I'm still walking around with a crutch. They still might end up having to cut my foot off because it's not responding after 6 surgeries and how many traumas it's had. So I'm still just in limbo right now, just trying to walk. That's all I want to do, be able to walk without pain.
I was going to say, man, that's going to hinder your golf game. I know you love to be on the golf course.
Oh, I love the golf course. And thank God I play in the American Century Golf event in Lake Tahoe in July. I'm one of the 2 players that have been to every event, Jack Wagner and myself. And luckily, they gave me a cart the last couple of years to play because I couldn't walk the course. I didn't come in last. That was my only thing. As long as I don't come in last, I'm good. It's been a struggle, but hey, that's life.
I hear you. Well, let's bring in Benny the Book. I know the book has a couple questions for you, so let's bring in our guy from Vegas, Benny the Book. So,
all right, Benny.
Benny, you got anything for Jim?
Well, I just wanted to tell him that was one of the most memorable games, the Holiday Bowl. He wasn't my brother-in-law at the time. We were like 20-year-old kids. We used to have a little action on some of the games, and we were at a party one night, and my brother-in-law sitting there, quiet as could be, and all of a sudden, you throw that touchdown pass. He jumps about 10 feet in the air. We go, "Tom, what's the big deal?" He goes, "Jim McMahon just saved my life," he said. That was so funny. But
you won about $7,000, Jim.
Well, we beat the best team money could buy back in college football back in the day. That's for sure. Those guys were loaded.
Oh yeah.
But, no doubt. I mean,
you asked him a couple of questions. I wanted to ask him about the Walter Payton thing. That was a good answer. I mean, people don't.
I never heard that answer, to be honest with you. That was a really good answer.
Yeah, people that aren't involved in the game.
Yeah, Keaton Walter. Jim, I want to do a quick little one word, not one word association, but I'm going to throw a name at you. And you kind of not one word, but just give me a sentence or something about that person, okay? You've either played with or against, okay? I'm going to go out like 3 or 4 guys. I'm going to start with Walter Payton. Walter Payton.
The best football player I've ever been around. The guy can do it all. He could run, he could throw, he could kick. The strongest man I've ever met in my life. I mean,
Really?
he was about 5'10", about 208 pounds of muscle. That's all he was. And he hated to be tackled.
You guys enjoying?
And I couldn't believe that he lasted 6 years prior to the time I got there, because the offensive line was not real good. And this guy only missed one
a lot of
game.
yards back then too, right?
He missed one game in 13 years as a running back. That is an amazing statistic in itself. I mean, I missed 6, 7 games a year. Yeah, he was incredible. He was just an awesome player, a great teammate, and I enjoyed playing with him.
Yeah,
I got to tell you, a good friend of mine, and he's been on the show a few times. He played against you, believe it or not, with the Cardinals. His name was Bob Harris. He was a linebacker, safety, and I asked him the question: who was the best running back you ever played against? I was going to think he'd say Herschel Walker in college. He said the toughest guy I ever had to tackle was Walter Payton, because when you hit him, he took it personally. He did not want to get tackled. He got pissed, and he just kept fighting and fighting and fighting. He wouldn't go down.
No, I tell you, when my first couple of years, like I said, we were not real good. I'd hand him the ball. He would make a 30-yard run that only gained 2 yards, because he went sideline to sideline, bouncing off people. I was like, man, what? You got to go down at some point. He said, no, he don't like to be tackled. He was a tough guy. He was a great teammate.
How about Mike Ditka?
I got along good with Mike in the early years, because Mike came in the same year I did. His first year as a head coach was my first year in the NFL. And when I got there, I wasn't sitting behind a couple of Hall of Famers, right? I was sitting behind Bob Avellini and Vince Evans. I don't know if people even remember those names, but
I remember them.
Mike wanted to win. I wanted to win, and he wanted me to play early. And so I thought he was good. I thought what he did best, he got rid of guys that just were hanging around collecting checks. Because we had some 8, 9 year veterans that were starters that he cut because they weren't working like he wanted them to work. That's what I give him credit for. He weeded out the guys that we needed to get rid of, and he got guys in there that wanted to work. And I mean, we worked as hard as anybody's ever worked in the NFL. I mean, every game, every week. I mean, we played 4 games a week, basically. Because in practice, everything was live for us. We didn't have, we were in pads every day. We didn't have any buddy sessions where, okay, this is what we're doing. Buddy Ryan and Mike Ditka didn't get along real well.
Right,
So
I was going to say, they hate
players.
each other, right?
That trickled down to the players. And so Buddy is a defensive guy, Mike was an offensive guy. So every period was basically a game. And I think that's what hurt us. Back, after 85, 86, 87, 88, we still had the best record in football, but we kept losing at home in the playoffs. I think because we were tired. We got tired of beating the hell out of each other. And then after we get done beating the hell out of each other for 3 hours, we'd have to run these 100-yard dashes until you got tired of blowing the whistle. And that'll wear on you. After 2 or 3 years of that wears on you. And I was there for 7, and it didn't let up.
I was going to say, I would almost like you guys would be tired at the end of the season, like you said, physically exhausted.
Oh, we were exhausted. We were exhausted. I mean, look at today's game. They don't even put pads on. Pretty much.
And I'm going to ask you about today's game. I'm going to ask you about today's game because it's very different. But let me get back to this. Tom Brady. What's your take on Tom Brady?
Oh, you can't complain about what he's done. I mean, 7 championships he's won.
On the Pettigrew side.
I mean, that should say something about the whole league. I mean, how do you let this team win 7 times?
Yeah. That's the only
but I think Tom's done a great job. I mean, he did what he was supposed to do. You can't complain about him. I don't know how good he would have been against our defense.
Well, exactly. That's the-
That's gonna say.
Our defensive scheme was if the starter isn't out in the first quarter, Buddy Ryan is pissed. He goes, I want that guy down.
Well, you
And,
guys would get to that. Well, yeah, but in today's rules and today's game, he wouldn't have been able to play that 46 defense like he did back then because now.
Every one of those guys would have got ejected probably
Exactly.
for taking a free shot on somebody.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now, what
that's-
about Bill
that's a little
Belichick?
bit-
What about Bill Belichick? What do you say about Belichick? I know you've had some things to say.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Bill Belichick. I was in Cleveland in 1995 with Bill Belichick. It was the last year before they moved to Baltimore, that franchise.
Yeah, that's what.
And Belichick made a deal with me under the table because of the salary cap. And they reneged on that deal. They still owe me 7 game checks that they haven't paid me. But yeah, I don't have any respect for that man at all. I know all the things that happened, Spygate, Deflategate, whatever gate it was, he was right in the middle of it. Because nothing happens on his team without him knowing it. And so I was very disappointed in, he looked me right in the eye and said, hey, we're going to pay you to sit out. So I called my attorney. I was there in training camp in 95.
Yeah.
At the end of camp, he calls me in. He goes, we got a lot of guys hurt. We need roster spots. We have to release you. I said, that's cool. It's my 14th year. I was about done anyway. And he said, no, we really need you here because all I have is Vinny Testaverde and a rookie. He goes, I can't go into a season with a rookie backup. And so I called my attorney. I said, can I trust this guy? He just said he's going to pay me to sit out. He said 1 or 2 weeks, you'll probably sit out and then we'll sign you back. So I called my attorney. He goes, well, take him at his word. So I did. I moved my family to Cleveland. I find a hockey team for my sons, get everything organized. So the first week I call in for my check. They give me the runaround. So I'm thinking, okay, first week jitters. Second week, same thing. 7 weeks I sat in Cleveland doing nothing. But I was playing Firestone a lot, which is fun. Working at a local Gold's gym, But yeah, I don't have any respect for that man. Anybody can look me in the eye and lie to me, I'm not going to trust him.
No, I totally get you. I totally understand that. I would feel the same way. Well, we're going to kind of wrap it up, and I want to just ask, what is Jim McMahon doing now? What are you doing today?
Oh, I'm actually in the cannabis business. With a couple of ex-ball players, Kyle Turley, I'm sure you know that name,
Yeah.
big offensive lineman, played for St. Louis and New Orleans. And also Evan Britton is our partner. And we started 3 years ago in California, in Ramona, California. Our company's called Revenant. It's after the movie, actually. That's why Kyle named it Revenant, because he watched the movie and he saw that scene after DiCaprio got beat up by the bear and he's going to die. And this Indian kind of was feeding him something. We believe that was cannabis. That got him back to life. And that's what cannabis has done for us. It got us off the opioids. We haven't had opioids in years. And it's something that we all should be using because we have a cannabinoid system in our bodies. Why is that there? It's for this plant. We're supposed to be using this plant. We don't have a Vicodin system in our body, Percocet system, or an Oxycontin, but we do have a cannabinoid system. And that's why people need to be using this plant rather than those other pharmaceuticals.
I totally get you. I have a nephew that is a wholehearted believer of cannabis. Works for a company that does it too. So he's a true advocate, that's for sure. But listen. I know this was tough. I know you're in Cabo. I know you got a lot of stuff going on there. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show tonight. So
hey, my pleasure, guys. Thank you for having me. Thank you for Vince Coleman to set this thing up.
Absolutely,
Vince, good
VC.
man.
Big shout out to VC. And I know he's going to be out at your golf tournament in Las Vegas. So
yes, sir. We're doing another Super Bowl golf event this year in Las Vegas at Bears Best. So anybody who wants to come play, I should know the damn. What is it? The email or whatever that thing is.
I'm going to text you. You tell me. I'll put it up on the screen when we have a chance to do it.
Awesome. We'll do that.
All right. Now listen, Jim. Enjoy Cabo. Safe travels back to Arizona, and we'll catch up one of these days, okay?
All right, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. All
Take care, Jim.
right, guys.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Oh my God.
Boy,
Ever 24 Fit, Maryland's only gym with 24-hour access. Get fit when it's convenient, utilizing Life Fitness, cardio, and weight machines. And for those of you who prefer free weights, there is a free weight area as well. Start your membership today and get on your way to a better you. Six Happiness. Enjoy fresh Asian cuisine in a relaxed and friendly atmosphere where we believe good times deserve great food. Featuring the best sushi chefs in the Leland area. So come on in and we guarantee you will be delighted.
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
I can hear. Yep.
I'm not sure what happened to Les.
All right.
So
well,
maybe what we'll do now is go to your picks and
okay.
go from there. And hopefully Les will get back on.
Join us back. All right. All right. So for my first game there, I'm going to take a lot of Jim McMahon's teams this week. I'm going to start with the Philadelphia Eagles, laying 10.5 against the Giants. I went against the Giants last week. That's my team, but they just offensively don't have it. And the Eagles have lost 3 in a row, and they still are one of the best teams in the NFC. So I see them bouncing back after losing to Seattle, and I think they're going to put a big number on the Giants. And now for the second team, I'm going to go with the team I think is going to win the Super Bowl. The San Francisco 49ers are playing. This could be a preview of the Super Bowl because Baltimore right now is in the first seed position and they're playing really well. But I'm going to take San Francisco at home. They played Baltimore played on the road last week. They played a Jacksonville team that is considered one of the better teams in the AFC. One thing I don't like about the game is the line 5.5. And I have a theory, 5.5. Always take the underdog, but I don't see Baltimore Ravens going across and beating San Francisco. So I like San Francisco laying the 5.5. Now we'll go to the third game, and I'm going to go back to Jim McMahon's team, Chicago Bears. They're really starting to play some good football. Arizona's playing out the season. Got a lot of injuries. The Bears are starting to play very well. Quarterback's trying to prove himself so he can stay with the team. There we go. We got Les back now.
Sorry about that, guys. I lost power.
All right. You did?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't lose power. We're only across the street. All right. All right.
Crazy.
So we went over the first two.
Okay.
We're talking about the Chicago Bears now, minus the 4.5.
Okay.
They're playing much better, and I like them against Arizona. And in the last game, I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans, plus 2.5.
Okay.
Tennessee is really starting to play good. Kid from Kentucky, who they drafted.
Yeah, Levis, huh?
He's starting to really get in there and really do well. They got a good running game. They got a very good coach. They're playing below expectations, but they have been coming on lately. And they're playing against the Seattle team, which really had a nice win against the Eagles on Monday night. But now they're going to play on a short week. Going to come back halfway across the country. I like Tennessee at home getting points. And Locke has played well for Seattle, but they're just flip-flopping. They didn't know until the last minute that he was going to play. So you never know. Geno Smith might be in there, and You don't even know if
Boss
he's
played pretty well, Benny. He's played pretty well last
yeah,
couple
he's
of weeks.
played 2 weeks. He played, but they said that Monday night they were talking. They waited till the last second to announce. And normally, teams don't do that. They put the guy who's going to start with several hours before. But Seattle came up with a big win. But now they're gonna go on the road, and I think Tennessee's going to be it. So those are the 4 games, and three of them are Jim McMahon's teams. The Bears. No, he didn't play the 49ers, but the Bears this week, and that's it. So,
All right, so basically, you like the Eagles to crush the Giants.
Yep.
San Francisco, I don't know about that game. I like Baltimore to win the Super Bowl. I know, short week. I just have a feeling their defense is so good that they're going to pressure Brock Purdy into a few mistakes. That's just my own opinion. I think that can happen. Okay.
Yes.
I like the Bears. I think the Bears are playing pretty good right now. And even for us,
he's actually playing for his football career in Buffalo, I think. I mean, in Chicago.
Yeah.
I
think he's playing well. Tennessee, I like that too. I think Seattle. I think Tennessee might win that game outright. Honestly, by about close game outright. I do like that game, and I know Benny. I got to let everyone know. Obviously, thank you for coming on because you have COVID.
Yes, I have.
Tested positive for COVID. Joni, my amazing Joni, is sick with COVID as well. I'm just coming out with the flu. I'm actually doing a lot better than I was yesterday, ain't I?
Oh, I'll tell you what. Me and you couldn't talk to each other yesterday. I haven't spoken in 2 days. Finally got my
but at
voice.
least they're going to let you get out of the bedroom at least.
Well, tomorrow's my 5th day of from when it started, so I'll test Thursday night or Friday morning, and hopefully she'll let me out of the bedroom.
What'd you think of Jim McMahon? I thought he was cool.
Yes, very, very honest, very very forthright. He knows how he wants to live life, man. He's there to enjoy, and I'll tell you what. He had some pretty impressive stats. You would have never thought. See, now you don't know. The guy played without a shoulder, without a throwing, because they always used to say, well, what? He don't even know how to throw the ball. Here's a guy that came with all those records at BYU, and all of a sudden he comes and he can't throw the ball. But he was on that was one of the best teams I've ever seen.
Yeah, unfortunately they beat the crap out of my Patriots, but what are you going to do? So,
hey, Les.
Well, what we're going to do now is we're going to take a break. I'm going to say, listen, feel better, Benny. Obviously, let's hope that you're clear to this stuff in a couple of days.
Hey, Les.
You're back playing golf, and you can enjoy Christmas. And we're going to come back for the wrap, and we're gonna let everyone know which movie won Best Sports Movie with Sports Talk and Sports Viewers. We actually have a winner. I'm not happy. Not my pick. I wanted to fudge the judging a little bit, but my producer Tony said no. Let the viewers have spoken. So we're gonna come back after this. So Ben, listen, feel better. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
You too.
And we'll be back. We'll be back after this with the best sports movie by the viewers. After this.
Jim's Pawn and Gun Shop, located at 4212 Oleander Drive, Wilmington's #1 firearms dealer. Sporting a large inventory, including all brands of handguns and long guns, a full stock of accessories, and all types of ammunition, Jim's Pawn and Gun Shop has it all, including the best customer service in the area.
Before the lights go out, call Wilmington Generators. We offer the lowest price and a 10-year warranty for all Briggs & Stratton installations. A Briggs & Stratton powers more of your home for less money. Call for a free quote. Wilmington Generators. We play with power.
Welcome back to Swartz Talking Sports. I'm your host, Les Swartz. Thanks, everybody, for hanging in there with us today. Normally, I do the show from the studio. I actually really preferred from the studio now after doing it this way. But because of me having the flu, I didn't want to get everyone sick. So, again, special thanks to Jim McMahon. He was outstanding. What a cool guy, to be honest with you. Really poignant and really honest. I really, really enjoyed him as a player and hope to meet him one day. And I know Benny for coming on at the short notice. I know, Benny with his picks, he's the best. And hopefully we'll get out of this COVID thing in a couple of days. You'll start feeling a lot better, as with Joni too. So we actually have a winner in Best Sports Movie for Sports Talking Sports viewers. And should we do a drum roll, Tony, my producer? I can't see it all right now. But it came down to 4 movies. It was Brian's Song, Hoosiers, Field of Dreams, and Rocky. And the winner of Best Sports Movie is Rocky. Now, this is the original Rocky, not Rocky 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is the original. So Sylvester Stallone, iconic role, is Rocky Balboa. Loses the fight to Apollo Creed, but, Yo Adrian and the whole thing. I would have taken Brian's Song. I would have done Brian's Song. I agree with Byron Scott last week. Brian's Song is the one. But the viewers have spoken. Rocky, best sports movie of all time. So, again, my special thanks to Jim McMahon. I know Jim's out in Cabo, really having a great time out there, so I really appreciate that. And hopefully he'll give me some info on his golf tournament. We'll certainly pub that. As always, please hit that subscribe button if you like what we're doing. Please let us know. Comment. Don't text me. Hit that comment button and comment on how the show's going. Ask questions. We answer them right away. You can also find us on Google Podcasts and Spotify. If you don't have a chance to actually watch the show, you can check it out that way. So, again, special thanks to Tony the Tiger, my producer, Smeraldi. Thank you so much, Tony. And shout out to everyone out there for bearing with us today. We started a little bit late, had a little bit of technical difficulties, so we apologize for that. But we'll be back next Wednesday, 7 p.m., and we're going to do a show on the CFP. It's all college football playoff show. We're bringing back Bob Harris, former Auburn Tiger and St. Louis Cardinal football player, and Todd Trigger, our Mr. Big Ten. So we're going to be talking CFP, transfer portal, all things college football. So for Tony, for Benny the Book, and for our guest Jim McMahon, this is Les Swartz saying so long. See you next week on Swartz Talking Sports.
Okay, we're clear.